Advice Givers podcast, where we meet the movers and shakers of Colorado Springs. Today's featured thought leader is someone who's making a tremendous impact on our community. He grew up in New York and Connecticut, graduated from Emory in Atlanta, and has had a successful publishing career. He moved to Colorado Springs with his wife Pam and their 3 kids. He now applies his magazine publishing expertise to produce a new lifestyle publication just for us. Please welcome Springs Magazine publisher, John Sawyer. Good morning, John. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being on.
Great. Lauren, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
We know you're the publisher of Springs Magazine, and we're very, very excited to have this in our community now. And I think it's going to be a really big hit. So if you want to give us just a very brief overview of what Springs Magazine is.
Sure. Springs Magazine is a consumer magazine that launched in November of 2015, and it is a publication that is filling really what we think is a void in the media marketplace here, and that's a active lifestyle publication with beautiful graphics and great stories that talk all about the wonderful life that we have here in Colorado Springs, whether that's the outdoor side, which people love so much, the hiking, the biking, getting out to the mountains, or the arts and culture. We have a very active arts and culture scene here in Colorado Springs, wonderful plays and music and just so much to do in terms of the arts and culture, food and dining, places to visit. We all love taking trips to areas around the Colorado Springs, and we have so much right within a couple hours distance that it's really just an amazing place to live. And we didn't see any publication that really talked about that and did it in a way that celebrated those aspects of our life and did it in a way that showed how gorgeous this area is. And that can be done with a glossy magazine more than any other type of media because of the beautiful photography. And a testament to that are the number of photographers that we have in this town. And there's just so much natural beauty here that the photographers just flock here, and everybody becomes an amateur / professional photographer if they can. Part of what we want to do is to show the just wonderful images of Colorado Springs through the magazine and big glossy pictures and beautifully designed.
Well, I'm really excited for the later part of the podcast where we ask you some questions about your favorite things in Colorado Springs, because by putting this together, you must have learned so much more than you already knew. So let's start with a little bit of your background. Where did you come from and how did you end up here?
Well, I grew up in the New York and Connecticut area up until my college years, and then I moved down to Atlanta, Georgia, where I attended Emory. I had a great opportunity to spend a year abroad in Switzerland during my junior year, so I got some experience living the European lifestyle, which was terrific, and then returned to Atlanta and got my first job in publishing. So in my early 20s, I started as a ad sales rep working for a national boating magazine, and never looked back from publishing since then. It's been a terrific ride. But after working for a few years in Atlanta, I met Pam, who is now my wife, and we, through her job, had the opportunity to go live in London for a couple of years. So I hitched a ride with her there. I had just a tremendous experience living in London. That was terrific, and being able to travel so much. Returned to Atlanta to start a family. And then after about 10 years, we decided to move out to Colorado. It was really Pam's job that drove that. She was offered an exceptional opportunity to work with the U.S. Olympic Committee. So we picked up from Atlanta, moved our 3 kids out to Colorado Springs, and have just settled in and had a wonderful time living here so far.
Okay, so I have a question about your time in Europe. What are some things that you learned there or experienced there that still affect you today?
Well, it's interesting. I enjoy beer, and one of the things that I learned living, first of all, in Switzerland, I lived in a town called Fribourg, and there was a brewery, Cardinal Brewing Company, which I'd never heard of Cardinal before. Leading up to that time, it was Budweiser, Miller, and stepping it up was having a Michelob. So going to Europe and experiencing the different types of beer there, and that there were such local beers. And that was really a lot of fun traveling around Europe and going to a town and maybe the size of Colorado Springs, where it's less than a million people, but they have their own beer there, and there's a pride about their beer. And so that was something that had not developed in the U.S. It was kind of fun because when I moved to Colorado 7 years ago, I saw that developing here in Colorado, and it's just boomed since then.
Yeah,
So
that's
that was
knowledge
fun.
you can really use in this town.
Yes.
That'll be a podcast for another day, but covering the beer scene in Colorado Springs, or maybe I should say for another month, because there's a lot to look at there. All right, so your wife is here working at the USOC,
Yeah.
and you are here publishing the Springs magazine. So tell us a little bit more about what got you into publishing in the first place. What did you like about it, and what do you enjoy about it now?
Well, what got me into it was I was tired of painting houses. After graduating from Emory with a degree in philosophy, it was something where I was having a great time living out of Martha's Vineyard, house painting, but it grew pretty old pretty quickly, especially during the winter month. So I decided it was time to get into the non-manual labor side of things. And I grew up with my dad always commuting into New York City. He worked with major advertising agencies. And I thought what he did was pretty amazing. He put me in touch with a number of different people that I networked with, and found publishing as an exciting way to be in the middle of, in the center of whether it's a trade business or a niche, and just all the information and being able to decipher out and talk to really interesting people and create a neat product every month or so. And so that was something that I grabbed onto pretty quickly, and I've just really enjoyed it.
That's a really great way to put it. You get to meet everybody this way.
Yeah, and that's been terrific for living out here in Colorado Springs. Moving out here, I had brought 2 magazines that I'd already been publishing in Georgia. I'd been self-employed for 11 years and have been publishing 2 trade magazines, one for the restaurant industry and one for physicians. And I came out here, and because I was not working within the community, I didn't have a lot of exposure to people. But since launching Springs Magazine, it's just been incredible, the number of interesting people and exciting things that I've been able to get involved with, and my team has been able to get involved with through the magazine. I've met a huge number of people already, but I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. We have the number of athletes that are doing incredible things, mainly because of the U.S. Olympic Committee and all the national governing bodies for the different sports that are based here. People that just love to be here and do sports, maybe just individual sports, ice climbing or running there and biking. There's just a huge community for that. So there's that interesting piece. And then also there's a real strong artistic community here, which is very interesting to meet those people as well.
Can you share with us what is one of your favorite places in Colorado Springs to go, to spend a day, to go with your family, just someplace that you really enjoy?
Just outside our door is Blodgett Peak, and having 2 dogs who love to get outside, we are on that mountain almost every day, really, and beautiful trails. It's mostly uphill except for when you come back down, but it's just a beautiful environment, and we love to get out into it all the time. That's the kind of the outdoor side of things, but getting back to the beer side of life, I thought it's just such a great find to drive just a mile down the road and came across Trinity Brewing, which I'd never been within such a short distance of a brew pub, and I just thought that was such a great find, and have enjoyed being there and experiencing that kind of mini culture of beer in Colorado Springs. And that's only one of, I don't know how many, probably 12 to 15 microbrewers
Right.
in town now. And I think maybe 3 or 4 have just opened in the past year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just catching on so much.
So let's talk about Springs Magazine. Tell us about your goals for the magazine. We'd like to hear the target market, needs that you might have. Where do you see it going? We're excited to hear all about Springs Magazine. So anything you'd like to share, we'd love to hear.
Yeah, the magazine is just launched and is off to a terrific start. The community has really responded enthusiastically. The leadership of Colorado Springs has found the magazine to be a tremendous resource for helping build the perception of what our life is like here in Colorado Springs. We're the second largest city in Colorado. However, not a lot of people outside of Colorado Springs really know about Colorado Springs and the lifestyle that we enjoy here. So they are finding it as useful in terms of recruiting, in terms of the real estate aspect, showing potential homeowners and people moving to the community what they can enjoy about Colorado Springs and all it has to offer. So that's been terrific. The reason that we launched was because there was that void in the marketplace of a magazine that speaks to a younger demographic. The 25 to 50-year-olds are really what we are targeting here. Writing stories that come from a different perspective, a younger perspective, as what they really seek out in a lifestyle, an active lifestyle, and in this kind of environment. So we've successfully hit that target, and the response has been tremendous in that regard. What motivated it was because I didn't see a magazine that served Colorado Springs in that way. You go to the checkout at the local grocery store, and there's one local slot. And in that local slot here in Colorado Springs is Denver's magazine, 5280. And I became a regular reader of 5280 as a result. But I thought, why is this going on? Why don't we have a magazine there for Colorado Springs? We're a big enough city for this. So that really was the driver behind it. And one of the goals is to put Springs Magazine on the newsstand there and not have 5280. We started it off as a quarterly publication. Our goal will be to be, in 2017, bi-monthly, and then eventually monthly publication with a paid circulation of subscribers and a newsstand distribution.
I have to tell you, when I moved here, I was 20 years old. I could not have been more excited to move to Colorado Springs. It was so beautiful. I loved the weather. And I got here and I didn't know where to go. Where do you start? So Garden of the Gods, of course, hiking, that was right in front of me. But we have so many gyms here as far as restaurants, shopping, you mentioned art. There's so many little places to go. And I'm just so happy now that there is a publication highlighting those. If I had gotten a hold of that magazine within the first 30 days of being here, I would have been leaps and bounds ahead of myself as where I was. You guys go very in depth in each edition to talk about the topic of the day, and the photos really help to draw people there as well.
Yeah, I think the design of the magazine is very important in terms of making it a compelling read. And when you see beautiful photography, one article that comes to mind in this topic is the article that it did on coffee houses. And for this generation, younger generation, coffee houses are just a great draw. Hanging out and drinking a really nicely made cup of coffee and chatting with friends, and that really is a community builder. And so we featured 3 or 4 different coffee houses, and it's just a neat atmosphere. And that's the type of place that someone that's new to Colorado Springs can go and get to meet some people and learn about the community, find out what other people are doing, and get involved that way. And it's an engaging part, and we were excited to feature that in the magazine. And that was only one piece. One of the things comments that we're getting for readers is that they are creating lists of things that they want to do because of the different trails that they're discovering through the magazine, or going to these coffee houses, or different events. We have an events section in the magazine that covers 3 months, and they can kind of plan out ahead as to the things that they'd want to do. The magazine's also has a website where we have an event calendar that people can refer to. There's just a tremendous number of activities and events and different things that people can do in Colorado Springs. It's just incredible how many things there are to do.
Yeah, if you put your mind to it, you'll never be bored around here.
No doubt, no doubt. I haven't been bored, that's for sure.
I love that effect of, you said, making lists. When I moved here, I was able to get a hold of the tourism publications, but they cover essentially all of Colorado. So I was marking these things I wanted to do out in Salida. That's not too far, but you have to take a whole day to go visit, for example, hot springs in Salida, much less Pagosa Springs. A lot of these tourist destinations, it's a full day to go there. And most of us have to work most days of the week. But there are so many things that you could do in Colorado Springs before work, after work, on your lunch break. And that's awesome. Yeah, the making lists and the family getting together and saying, these are our priorities. We're going to hit this stuff. It's great for everybody.
Yeah, we have all the standard things that any kind of city this size would have, whether it's the movie theaters or the dining opportunities. But then in addition, we have all these other activities that people can do because of where the city is located and because of what the leaders over the decades have done in this city to create amenities that are just really top notch.
So can you give us a few other examples of what types of things are covered in the magazine if someone hasn't seen it yet? So you mentioned coffee houses, but what other types of topics are you covering on a regular basis, or do you hope to cover?
Well, I've mentioned the outdoor piece. That's very important to us, and because we feel like people who come to Colorado Springs, one of their major motivators are all the outdoor activities, whether it's the hiking or the biking. So we have trails articles, and the next issue we're looking forward to having a backcountry skiing on Pikes Peak. So things that we really want to create a sense of discovery in the magazine that readers can turn to and say, "Oh, I didn't know about that," and let's check that out. So there's the outdoor piece, the dining, and different kinds of dining opportunities that we have in town. Another side of it is really, we talked about the different interesting people in Colorado Springs. I'd mentioned the athletes, and there are just some really interesting people that are maybe not well known in the Colorado Springs, but in their segment of life, in their area, whether it's in a novelist or a skater. There are so many different areas that we have leaders, people that are very well respected, and they're living right next door to us. And so in Springs Magazine, we want to bring out those personalities and kind of reveal them to the rest of the community, say, hey, these people are right next door to you, and they're doing incredible things. And so we'll bring out those personalities into the magazine.
That's a really, really great point. I've heard from many people, they could live anywhere, and they chose Colorado Springs. And it sounds like you're finding some of those people.
Yeah, certainly. The different institutions that are here in Colorado Springs are the academic institutions. So Colorado College was founded very early in the founding of Colorado Springs, and it is a very well-respected liberal arts college that brings in some incredible people that whether they're professors or visiting professors or people in academia that are just thought leaders in so many different ways. So we have that, and then we have University of Colorado Springs, which is a booming university in the state university system with some really interesting objectives of becoming, for instance, a leader in sports medicine. And we're at our elevation. We have a lot of athletes that like to train at this level, but we also have it kind of fits in with that Paralympic side of our community, and also wounded warriors. So there's a medical and a athletic piece that they are carving this niche at University of Colorado Springs. There's just huge amount of growth ahead for that university, and we can tap into, when you have that kind of resource there, it draws very interesting people, and we can tap into that editorially and talk about what's going on there and what some of the interesting people are that are teaching there or a part of that community.
Absolutely. I'm very excited about that myself. They are just something new every day up there, it seems like.
Yeah, and it's not stopping. That's just one of the I just talked about academics, but the tourism piece is a very big piece of Colorado Springs, and we're really excited about the City for Champions and how that is going to even help define our city even further, and it'll give it a lot more exposure to the rest of the nation and globally, really, because it will be this incredible centerpiece for Colorado Springs, celebrating all of that, the U.S. Olympic athletes and what they do.
Awesome. So just one more thing about the magazine. Tell us just a little bit about what you foresee in the future. Do you have a target goal for number of subscribers or any future offshoots of it that aren't running just yet?
Well, we launched as the largest circulated magazine in Colorado Springs. So,
congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So the way in publishing, the business of publishing, you structure out your costs and what you need to do in terms of advertising rates and how many advertisers based on those costs. And the first segment or the first thing that you define is how many readers that you want to reach to be able to set the rates and what your costs will be based on postage and printing. So right now we're sitting at a printed number of copies of 25,000. And I think that's where we'll probably hold for a period of time. I think that's the right number for this demographic of 25 to 50-year-olds. And that's what our research has shown in terms of reach into that marketplace. And then also the affordability of the advertising and what the business community can afford to be able to participate and to market their businesses through Springs Magazine.
Great, that's an excellent way to think about it. So let's hit on that for just a moment. If and I'm sure there are small business owners, local business owners here in town listening to this. What if they're interested in becoming involved in Springs Magazine? What are you looking for in terms of advertising? What do you have available?
Well, I think the main thing is to for businesses to understand what the market that we are providing in terms of reach to that demographic, and also the environment that they place their advertising. There is something to be said for having your marketing message placed in an environment that is engaging, that is well designed, that is well written articles. That magazines are uniquely able to draw a reader in and give more exposure to an advertiser than most media. It's not something that the reader turns off or blocks. Magazine advertising is just a very powerful way of reaching readers. Readers really come to love their magazines. They look forward to receiving them, especially when it's the content is about things that they really enjoy doing and want to learn more about. It's amazing how quickly the readership has engaged with the magazine, and we're very excited about that, because then it gives us the opportunity to tell our advertisers, hey, you've really done something good here. You've reached out and made an impact on these readers because they are in the magazine and loving it, and that transfers over to your advertising and making an impact. So for advertisers that want to reach that demographic, that want to have that kind of that environment to place their advertising, it's the right fit.
So something with this many beautiful photographs as your magazine has, and as many articles that people are going to reference back as far as places that they want to visit soon. So it's a longer shelf life on the ad.
as I was saying, when I first moved here, I started picking up 5280, Denver's magazine. And on my shelf right over there are several copies of 5280 dating back not just months or they're dating back several years, because there are articles about things that I want to do that I've held on to, and I'll refer back to them. So that's really, in terms of advertising, that's a really long shelf life, as you say, but it's just a great marketing investment, because that marketing investment can last so long. So much of advertising and other media, what sets magazine advertising apart is that duration, that length of the advertising message in time and impact.
And I bet you got very familiar with the businesses which were up in Denver that you saw repeatedly in that magazine. So let's
Yes,
do the
very
same
much
for our
so.
local business community here through this new magazine, Springs Magazine. So as we're kind of getting toward the end of the interview, the couple of things that I want to cover is to, one, make sure that people know how to get a hold of you, whether they want to subscribe to the magazine, where can they find the magazine, do you have online media that they can access and check out what we're talking about right now, if they're interested in advertising, who to get a hold of, as well as, before we go to the contact information, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you really want to add in before we go?
The magazine isn't just me. We have an incredible staff. Jeremy Jones is the editor of the magazine, and he has put together a team of writers and photographers, and we have a tremendous designer in Tanya Jeffrey. It's the team that has created Springs Magazine that I really would like to say thank you to them, and for the readers to know that it's a large group of people. There are probably between 15 and 20 people that had some kind of role with putting Springs Magazine together, and so it's a very collaborative thing, and they're always excited to hear readers' ideas. So I would encourage readers to reach out to us. So our website, we do have a very active website and social media platform. So we have media that complements the magazine online as well. So cospringsmag.com, that's cospringsmag.com is the website. And then also you can find us on Facebook, same kind of cospringsmag.com on Facebook. We have postings almost on a daily basis and have created community already. And so that's already kind of what's unique about Facebook, is it kind of helps create that community that way and engage. So that's been really a lot of fun to have that as a resource for the community as well.
And so if someone's interested in subscribing, what's the best way for them to do that?
So I'd go to the website, and there's a subscription link on the website. And it's people have said that they're amazed at the reasonable cost of a subscription. So they're actually buying gift subscriptions. They're buying one for themselves and buying gift subscriptions for friends and family, which is a great thing. And so that's, or they can, you can always call or email us if that was something that you want to do. The phone number is 719-599-7220. And email is john@springs.media.
Perfect. And as far as advertisers, if someone were interested in inquiring about advertising, same procedure, same phone number, email?
Yeah,
website?
certainly. You can. There's a link on the website, cospringsmag.com, to access a form to fill out to request advertising information. Or again, you can just contact me directly at john@springs.media.
All right, excellent. And then can people pick this up when they're out shopping? Can you find it on the magazine racks currently, or is it by subscription only right now?
It's primarily by subscription, so we'd encourage people to start there. But we have started creating some distribution points throughout the city. Some of the coffee houses that we mentioned in the magazine actually have picked up copies to be able to provide to their patrons.
Excellent.
So, for instance, the Wild Goose. We've also had some of the outdoor type stores. So, Blindside down on the west side of town is a snowboard and skate shop and they have started taking on copies of the magazine. And that list is just going to continually grow. Our objective is to get on newsstands, so that will start happening in 2016. You'll start seeing it on newsstands as well. First and foremost, I'd suggest people go online and subscribe. And you'll see some of the articles online, so you'll get a taste of what the magazine is all about. We also have articles online that are just unique to the website and don't appear in the magazine. But it'll give you a real good flavor of the magazine. And if you like it, the articles that you read online, then certainly that if you enjoy receiving a magazine and want to learn more and be able to have it in your hands and keep, I would suggest subscribing.
All right, awesome. Thank you, John, so very much for being on the podcast today.
Lauren, I appreciate it. I thank you for the opportunity, and I wish you great success with your podcast.